The night Ethan Cole died, rain fell like it had a vendetta. It wasn't a dramatic rain, the kind that announced itself with thunder and lightning. It was worse. Quiet. Persistent. The type that soaked into the road and erased boundaries between lanes. The type that made headlights blur and reflections lie. Ethan was 26. He had just finished a late shift at the architectural firm where he worked as a junior draftsman. He was exhausted, thinking about mundane things. Whether he'd remember to call his mother the next day. Whether the ache in his neck meant he needed a new pillow. Whether life was supposed to feel this heavy already. The radio murmured softly. A song about second chances. He never saw the truck. The impact was violent but brief. Metal screamed. Glass exploded. Ethan's body folded in ways it was never meant to. The world spun, slowed, and then, very suddenly, stopped. People later said he died instantly. They were wrong. Ethan felt everything. The pain came in waves, sharp, blinding, impossible to process. Then the cold crept in, spreading from his fingertips inward, stealing sensation. He tried to scream, but his lungs refused. His eyes were open, staring at a sky fractured by rain and broken windshield. And then something stranger happened. The pain receded, not gradually, not mercifully, it simply vanished. Ethan inhaled sharply and sat up. The car was gone, the road was gone, so was the rain. He was lying on warm concrete under a morning sun that felt too bright, too alive. Birds chirped somewhere nearby. A city hummed around him, voices, footsteps, distant horns. He looked down at himself. No blood, no broken bones. His clothes were different, clean, unfamiliar. His phone buzzed in his pocket. When he pulled it out, it unlocked with his face. The date made no sense. 3 months had passed. Ethan staggered to his feet, heart hammering, and whispered the only word his mind could form. I'm alive? But deep inside, something cold and ancient stirred, because Ethan Cole had died on that road. The city was called Havenport. Ethan didn't remember coming there, but everything insisted he belonged. His phone contained messages from co-workers he didn't recognize, but somehow knew how to respond to. His wallet held an ID with his name, his face, slightly older, slightly sharper. He had an apartment, a job, a life that fit him like a tailored suit. It unsettled him. But humans are adaptable creatures, especially when survival demands it. Ethan told himself he had suffered a breakdown. Amnesia, trauma, anything that didn't require accepting the impossible. He moved forward. That was when he met Lena. She worked at a bookstore tucked between a cafe and a tailor shop. She had tired eyes and a laugh that startled her own chest, like it escaped without permission. The first time Ethan saw her, she was arguing with a customer about whether the author was pretentious or misunderstood. Ethan smiled without meaning to. He came back the next day. And the next. Soon, their conversation spilled outside the store, into coffee dates, evening walks, shared silences that felt full instead of awkward. Lena didn't push him to talk about his past. She just listened. When he finally told her his parents lived far away, she nodded and said, "Family can be complicated." He felt a strange ache then, like guilt without memory. They fell in love slowly, deeply, the kind of love that feels earned, the kind that makes you believe in permanence. Ethan proposed on a quiet evening. No spectacle, just a ring, trembling hands, and the truth of his devotion. Lena said yes through tears. When she asked about meeting his family, Ethan hesitated for half a second too long. "They're traditional," he said carefully, "not fond of traveling." "Will they come to the wedding?" "Yes," he said, and meant it. The family arrived 2 days before the wedding. They came at dusk. Lena noticed immediately that something was off. There were 6 of them. An older couple, 2 middle-aged women, and a young man who claimed to be Ethan's cousin. They were polite, soft-spoken, almost overly formal. They avoided mirrors. They never ate. When Lena offered them food, they smiled and said they weren't hungry. When she joked about the long journey, they exchanged glances, subtle, uneasy. Ethan barely looked at them. But when he did, something unreadable passed over his face. Recognition, relief, fear. The wedding was beautiful, simple, intimate. As Lena walked down the aisle, she saw Ethan's family watching her with expressions that bordered on grief. His mother wiped tears constantly. His father stared at the floor as if ashamed. During the vows, the lights flickered. No one mentioned it. After the ceremony, Ethan's family left early, claiming they needed to return before nightfall. Lena hugged his mother goodbye. She felt cold, not emotionally, physically. But Lena dismissed it. Weddings were exhausting. Nerves did strange things. That night, as she lay beside her husband, she whispered, "When will we visit your family?" Ethan kissed her forehead. "Soon," he promised. Soon never came. Every time Lena asked, Ethan had an excuse. Work deadlines, financial strain, illness back home, road repairs, political unrest, anything. At first she was patient, then confused, then quietly hurt. "Don't they want to see the children?" "They do," Ethan said quickly. Too quickly. "They just believe distance preserves respect." Lena laughed weakly. "That's the strangest thing I've ever heard." Ethan smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. There were other things too. Ethan never appeared in childhood photos. He cast no reflection in certain mirrors, though Lena only noticed in passing, unsure of what she'd seen. He never aged. Not really. 3 years into their marriage, Ethan looked exactly as he had the day they met. Lena began to feel a quiet, gnawing unease. And then, one evening, Ethan came home pale and restless. "My office is sending me on a long-term project," he said. "Another city." Her heart sank. For how long? Months, maybe more. She swallowed. "Then, maybe this is the time. We can visit your family. The kids should know them." Ethan froze. The room seemed to darken around him. Slowly he nodded. "Yes," he said. "You should go." Relief flooded her face. "I'll send you the address." 3 days later, Lena traveled with the kids to the village. When it arrived, it led to a village far from Havensport, a place that felt older than maps. The village was quiet. Too quiet. Lena noticed it the moment they arrived. No laughter, no children running. Doors closed despite the afternoon sun. The address led them to a modest compound. People stared as Lena introduced herself. "I'm Ethan's wife," she said with a smile that faltered under their confused expressions. "These are his children." Murmurs spread, faces drained of color. An older woman stepped forward, trembling. "Ethan." "Cole?" she whispered. "Yes," Lena said. "He sent us." The woman collapsed into a chair, sobbing. "My son died," she cried. "He died 3 years ago. A car accident." Lena laughed. Hysterical, disbelieving. "No, that's not possible. We're married. Please, where are his parents, cousins, his family that came for wedding?" Ethan's father replied, "We are his parents." She pulled out her phone and showed them wedding photos. Gasps filled the air. "That's him," the man whispered. "That's my boy." They took Lena to the grave. Fresh flowers lay upon it, the name carved deep into stone. Ethan Cole, 1996, 2022. Lena screamed. Not in fear, in betrayal. "So I married a ghost? What do I tell my children? Somebody please tell me this is a dream. The family that came for my wedding are ghosts also. Now it's all connecting. These people never ate." 3 days later, Lena traveled back to the city with her children. She promised to visit from time to time and also support them. Lena started writing a book, my ghost husband, for the world to hear her story. Lena never remarried. Her children sometimes spoke of their father in dreams, and on quiet nights when rain fell gently, Lena swore she felt a familiar presence, watching, loving, letting go, because some loves are so strong, they refuse to die. Now here is the mystery behind this story. In many traditions, death is not the moment the heart stops. It is the moment the soul detaches. Some belief systems suggest that this detachment is not always immediate. A sudden, violent death, such as a car accident, can fracture the transition. The body dies instantly, but consciousness does not fully disengage. What remains is not a ghost in chains, but a residual self, still oriented toward life, still carrying intention, memory, and desire. This explains why such individuals often they exist in a threshold state, no longer anchored to their original body, yet not fully released.